Hi everyone. Okay, so welcome to the space if you're new here, and welcome back if you're returning. So, firstly, secondly, I suppose I want to thank you for being here. Whether you just showed up or whether you've been here for a while, I really, truly hope that this message is of service. Thirdly, and I guess lastly, before we jump into your cards, there's something about feelings and how feelings are funny, Feelings are funny. We all do it, but women do it more. Seeing more females in this scenario, but, again, feelings are a funny thing. Sometimes when we're so, absolutely petrified, we cry, right? When we're scared, we cry. When we're so happy, we can cry, or we're so happy that we're silent and serene, right? Sort of placid. Sometimes we're so... It's just funny how a lot of times the the feeling and what we expect to be the expression of that sometimes doesn't match. It's like almost figuring out the puzzle of it, and then getting to know people and how they work, some people, when they're sad, they're very quiet. Some people, when they're sad, they get very mad, right? Like, some people, again, when they're happy, they're very serene. Sometimes when people are happy, they're all like, yeah, like this kind of, and every person is their own, So, there's that. Okay, give me just a second to tune in, please. Trying to figure out where to start. I'm trying to figure out whether to do it in the way that, how do I explain this? Okay, somebody had this mushroom in the middle. They talked about this wild trip. It's a trip that they were going on, a journey, right? If you want to keep your mind clearer in this time, I see more fruits and vegetables say the mind is, you're too much in your head. You're too much in the ego, too much in the thinking space. Fruits, vegetables, would be best. Even if it's for just a week or two. That'll help. It could even be just a few days. I feel like you'll be able to notice. I guess diet is important here. Let's see. That's interesting. It came out in a very practical sense. This time frame otherwise has been pretty trippy. Let's see. Okay, so after one extends oneself in a deep learning process, right? They find these other worlds, or find this new understanding. You got to come back and nourish yourself, right? Sometimes that long journey I see is long and arduous, and especially the journey of change, right? And no matter which way you go, you have to make sure that you. This also incurs more sleeping, or more taking space from people even, a little bit could be helpful. Not that you're trying to block yourself from connecting with others. It's to make sure that energy is in check so that the emotions don't become overwhelming. And when there is a wave, it's a wave of something that feels good, you know? Like there's a wave of gratitude. An appreciation for experience, for time, for the time, I suppose. Okay, so you want something, there's something that's wanted, and it's actually very close to you, it's within your reach. But it's almost like, it's not quite the time, right? I just saw someone cooking rice on the stove. It's like, rice is only done when it's done. If you try to take it off before, it's just going to be hard and unflavorful, right? You just gotta wait a little bit till it opens up some. Just a second. I feel like I need to rearrange these. Same space. Okay, just a second. It's interesting to see, you know, like what repeats, what the connecting points are. How does it go together? Then how does it go together now? So there could be some kind of ego, sorts of. It's like something. Opened up, and because of that, it let go of a whole bunch of things. Maybe it had to let go. But I suppose there's a part of it that's like, oh, I don't want to let go. But then on the other like it's like you got two roads, you know. And like one of them is a place where it's kind of like the Reaper, you know. It's kind of you can't stop. We can't stop certain things. It's like, but we also shouldn't be afraid of that, I guess. Is that the right sentence? No. Let me back up. Well, something was, again, hidden in the dark. It was like marinating, you know, and it needed the right environment to grow. And then, actually, the way a mushroom shows up usually is after a long, hard rain, right? It has to be soft to be able to push through without hurting itself. But after that, it's a process where, again, you have to open. Everything was closed and hidden, and then it's like, oh my goodness, here it is, and it's all open. And that can feel vulnerable, right? It's like, oh my God, here it's so exposed. You know what I mean? It's so the bones of it. It's like all those stripped away, all the way down to the bones, right? So again, in those times, maybe this is stripping away like sort of sinful behavior. I've been reading this book called St. John of the Cross, and he actually was the one he was a Spanish monk in, I don't remember how long ago it was, at least 500 years, but, and he wasn't acknowledged for his work until 300 years after his death. But he's actually the one that coined the term, the dark night of the soul. And it's it's quite fascinating. And there's a section as you go along where it speaks of how there are we have these beginner stages of things in ways of spiritual work. And you can get to these places because it feels good, right? Sometimes that's why people do things, is because it feels good. Like, I intuitively just picked up on that, or this message that you saw, or your prayer space, or whatever. It's kind of like, but it's the beginner is going to become confused that that good feeling is the point versus having more love for God. And so it strips away these sins, right? Like pride or the lust of something or what have you. Again, these sort of like mental, emotional places. Interesting. Let's keep going. Easy killer. It's okay. Even if someone tried to not open up or not expand themselves, not go into this, it's almost like the wind rips it away. The wind rips it away. And the water will push it. It's almost like I'm seeing the desert, and then there's kind of sand near water, and then there's a swamp here too. The swamp is the most peaceful. But it's also the most stagnant. It seems to be collective also, but there's this kind of like uncomfortability that we all have to face at this time, no matter where your space is upon the path. I saw a ping pong machine, ballroom wizard. Let's look at the diamond. Let's look at the center. What are they looking at? Oh, high tension. It's like I guess there's a test of the heart and the mind, you know? And when you need help, remember that spirit or whatever prophet you connect to, whatever God you connect to, remember that they will give you the abilities to do what you need to do, even gifts for work or wisdom or words to say when you don't know what to say. And they always search our hearts and show us what it is that we need to change. We all have, I see the words comfort zone, and then I saw someone, it was like an illuminated sort of space, and it's like someone had to walk, like step out of that, you know? Step out of this comfort zone. But then I guess remembering that what am I seeing? It's like someone has their own protection bubble anyway, even if you step out of your comfort zone. But I suppose the initial, like, way through that first bubble, even though you're within one, right? It's sort of, I don't know if it's shocking, but it's thick. You know what I mean? Something either needs to push you or you need to take a step to do it. But either way, it's like gonna put it in this, take one out of their comfort zone a bit. Now, the beautiful thing about this is whether this is pushing you or you decide to take this step for yourself, it helps you to understand more about infinity and impermanence. You know what I mean? Because I suppose if one is always running, like trying to, not sit in the bubble for a second before you start, sit in that point of reference, right? Before you move it around. Again, it's like Pinball Wizard. Oh my goodness, that was someone else's reading before. Okay, so that's the thing, is you want the recall to be something that's creative. And that no matter what feeling you're going through, just a minute. You can always turn from what is like destructive into something that is good, right? You can. But that's just to sort of recalibrate, especially if you're going through and it seems to be like kind of an ego stripping of something, or a stripping of something. When using sharp tools, you want to be cautious, right? But that recalibration is there to allow you to understand some of it's about accountability, for one's actions, but then also understanding that some of it is I guess is silence. Remember all the words, all the learning, all the talking, all the thinking, analyzing, whatever, conversations. It's like we all have to, it's something about bringing it back down into this space and seeing what's up with that really. Aquarius and Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Huh. Ballroom Wizard. Well, I hope this was of service. Thank you for being here. I don't know if it matters or who will see this or what have you, but for those of you that have, for those of you wherever you extend your love and appreciation and kindness, and I feel that. I can feel that. It's felt. It's felt. Okay? And appreciated. We're all human beings, and everybody has questions. That's why you're here, right? And even though we're using sort of mental spaces at times to be like this air realm to extend information, what it's meant to touch on is your heart, And so thank you for your love and support, and if you are curious, yes, lately I've had a lot going on, and in so many different ways. It was overwhelming, and it's interesting because even in the overwhelming, there's a lot of peace in it, but it's a complex thing. I feel like that dark night of the soul is something where, like, we don't just do it once, and it doesn't always last a certain amount of time either, but we do always get checked, and put back in place, which goes to show that anything that's been shattered can be fixed or melted and turned into something else. Somebody else talked about that. Anyway, thank you. Talk to you later.